Hey guys, well today I'm inside the grow room, and the section that I'm in right now is my light loving section. And what I mean by that is the plants that need most of the light, like tomatoes and peppers and stuff, stay on this plant stand right here, and this is my east facing window. Now, the question that I get a lot is, how do I light my grow room? Now, I've got other sections of the grow room that are just really boring. They're just like shop lights, and it's where I start my seeds under the shop lights, and I do have some greens, like I got my kale and stuff like that, but they're not extensively, light lovers. They do like light, but not as much as these babies. And so this is the section that I focus most on. I'm going to show you the lights and how I light this. But this is my east facing window. And believe it or not, this is where I get most of my light during the winter time. Now I have a south facing window right here that I moved the plant stand away. It's just got some other things, some more tomatoes and things like that. But I get most of the light here because my south facing window here, believe it or not, I've got a huge Doug fir, I've got a big ponderosa pine, and I've got a madrone. And these three shade the south part of the house. And the reason being is because here in Southern Oregon, it gets scorching. It gets like 630 degrees in the summertime. And believe it or not, all the trees, I have more down here on this, the other side of the house too. So this whole side is completely shaded, and it helps shade the window. Sorry, this bucket is like bugging me. It shades the house, and it keeps the house nice and cool. And I'm able to, believe it or not, in the summer actually raise the shades even. And I don't have to, like a lot of people have to have all their shades drawn in the summertime because the sun will just beat in and cook it. So I can actually open my shades for the most part of the day. There's some days where I close them and there's a little bit of light coming through and it does heat it up. But anyways, so this is the main part here that gets most of the sun in the wintertime. Now, in the summer, of course, the sun is more directly overhead, so it really beats in here. And I do have to close this shade down because the sun will come up directly from the east. It'll come just like this, and it'll beat right through this window. So this window, during the summertime, mostly stays shaded. And so these plants here move over to this window, but most of the stuff that I have growing will go outside anyways, and I'll just have a couple tomatoes in here and a couple peppers in here, and that's pretty much it. So anyways, so my plant stand here is where this is where I have most of my extensive lighting. And I won't bother showing you like the shop lights and things like that. I've got a few more of these fluorescents, compact fluorescents over there with my kale and stuff like that, but it's just really boring. I'm going to show you how I light this. Okay, there's one thing to consider when you pick fluorescent lighting, and that is the Kelvin rating. Now with me, I don't worry too much about the Kelvin rating as long as it's over 5,000. 5,000 being the full spectrum, right? You know, into the middle between the blue and the red and whatnot, and that's considered full spectrum. A lot of people think that I need to go all the way up to 6,500 Kelvin in order to get the best results, and that's just not true. Now I do have a couple of them that are 6,500, but they're only because they're ones that I had laying around, and they're more daylight, bright light, and I like that in the wintertime because we're lower on lights. And a lot of people suffer from light deprivation, but it's just good for your mind and whatnot. I'm not one of these mind kind of hippie soul whatever you're talking about, and I got to have this lighting. I just think that it's good. To me, it looks nice, and it's just got a calming effect, and so that's why I use it more in the winter. But so I've got over here, I've got 3 lights here, and I hope that they're not blinding you. But I wanted to have them on so you can see what they kind of look like as far as the color rating. I've got 3 of them. I've got 2 in this lamp here, and I've got 1 in that lamp over there. And they're both they're all 3 6,500 Kelvin, and they're 23 watts, and they are equivalent of 100 watts. So basically 3 times 23, which is 69 watts altogether in those 3, and they're putting out 300 watts of electricity, or 300 watts of energy or power. And then now I've got 2 over here in this big lamp, and I'll bring you in and be able and show you the whole thing once I explain a little bit. But I've got these 2 here, and now these 2 here are 105 watt, and they're 5,500 Kelvin, and so they're 105 watt, but they put out 420, the equivalent of 420 watts. And I've got 2 of these in a plant, or in a light stand here, and I'll show you in a minute. So basically I've got 2 of them at 105 watts, and I've got 3 of them at 23. So I've got almost 300 watts of of lights here shining on here, and I mean, I'm putting out, I don't know how many, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I don't know, over 1,000 watts. Figure it out. I mean, this is 420. That's 800, 9, 10, 11. That's over 1,100 watts of equivalent that I'm actually putting on this section right here. Now, you might think that's a lot, but it really isn't, because if I'm using 1, 2, 300 watts of electricity, real electricity, that's what I mean, 300 watts, and I'm paying 10 cents per kilowatt hour, I'm basically looking at 10 cents every 3 hours, a little over 3 hours. And so if I have these on for 15 hours, that's 5 times, that's 50 cents a day. And 30 days, that's $15, right? So 15 bucks, I'm lighting this whole section. Now that's a lot. This is a big section here. It doesn't seem like a lot, but for 15 bucks a month, I've got, I mean, I'm going to have 6 tomato plants that are going to be producing like crazy. I'm going to have 3 pepper plants that are going to be producing. I've got all kinds of other things. I've got my onions started here. I've got on the windowsill, I've got the, this is Tom Thumb lettuce. And I've got other things going on here that are just, I mean, I've got all kinds of like cilantro and whatnot. So that may seem like a lot, but in a 3-month or 4-month period, for 50, 60 bucks or whatever, I can produce a lot right here. And so to me, that's not a lot. A lot of people might say that's just ridiculous. Well, it may be overkill, and like for right now, I'm not using both of these. I've only got one of them turned on, and I've got those 3 on, and I've got one of the big ones turned on. And I won't need to turn the second big one on until these tomatoes are much bigger. And I've got another one over there that's going to come over. And so I won't be using all, I mean, I'm not using them right now. It'll be another few weeks at least before I have all of them on. And so anyways, let me back the camera up and let me show you the lighting setup they have, especially the light stand. So I pretty much use the CFLs, and except for seed starting and for some herbs, I have some smaller 2-foot fluorescent tube lighting, T5s, and for, you know, just for greens and stuff. And greens will do fine with those, and they'll put out a lot of light. But for more direct lighting for larger plants, you got to get yourself some bigger lights. Anyways, let me show you the light stand that I have here. Okay, so let me show you this lighting setup here. Now, I apologize if I'm kind of in the dark, but there's so much lighting here that the camera likes to focus on all the bright, and everything else is silhouetted or in the dark. So, but anyways, we'll get this done. So, basically, this is the light stand that I use. Now, I've got the 3 here. I've got 2 in this clamp light. I've got 1 in this clamp light, and then I've got the 200 watt in here. And this stand here is from my photography days. I've got like 3 or 4 of these, and I like these a lot better than putting like lighting overhead. And I know a lot of people will take and they'll light their whole room. They'll hang lights from the ceiling and then light the whole room and think it's just like it's the summertime in here. And that's certainly one way to do it, but I like targeted lighting. I like to target my plants with specific amount of light, and I don't need to light spots of the room that don't need it. And so basically this stand here is really nice because I can lower it or raise it. It'll go all the way down to like the floor, and I can light stuff just a few inches off the floor, or I can raise it up to, this thing will go up to 7 feet. I've got 2 knobs here. I've got another one down here, and I can just, you know, lower it or raise it and it'll just keep on going. And I've got another one down below. So there's three different knobs here. And then with this, what I can do is the 2 bulbs, they each have independent switches. And so I can turn them both on, or just turn one on, or both off. And I can raise this as far as, I can lift one up like this, or it's got little knobs here that I can tighten these and you know, move them up and down and whatnot. And so you can just make them, you know, make them at any angle that you want is basically what I'm saying. Now the reason why I like this is because with this thing it'll go up to 7 feet. Now I don't have anything in my room that's 7 feet tall, but as my, like specifically my tomato plants will start getting big, I'll be able to go up and be able to tower over the plants to be able to provide more uniform lighting instead of just you know, hitting the side of the plant, and then all of the leaves and stuff will shade the other side of the plant, which is what I don't want. And so if I'm able to go over top of the plant, I can light and utilize all the light, and any spillover will go on to other plants. Instead of just, if you're hitting the lighting at the side, and this is shading everything behind it also. And so if you can get up over your plants and get down above them, it's more like the sun, because the sun isn't hitting from the side. The sun is hitting from overhead and coming down onto your plants. And so you want to try to simulate that. And so now as my plants get bigger and bigger, of course I'm going to also turn this one on and provide a lot more. But for right now, I don't need that on. And so the misconception is that it's really expensive to light your grow room. It really is not expensive at all. I've got the 300 watts here of energy that I'm using, and probably with my strip lighting, and I've got one more of these over there, and I've got another one of these 23 watt over there. So altogether I'm maybe, and then I've got my tube lighting, maybe 500 watts, 600 watts of electricity. So at 10 cents per kilowatt hour, I'm basically 5 cents it's going to cost me per hour to run these lights. And they're usually on 15 hours. I've got them on a timer. So they come on at about 7 o'clock in the morning and they go off about midnight. And so that's, yeah, that's like 17 hours, isn't it? So, I mean, you're talking a little over, maybe 25 bucks at the most. And that's if I run both of these. So maybe 25 bucks at the most to run all of my lighting in here. If I was to hang the lights over top and put enough lighting in here to be able to shine down on top of everything, I'm looking at like 10 of these. And if I were to hang 10 of these, that's 1,000 watts. And I'm spilling over light that I just don't need to use. I mean, who's going to care if there's lighting in the corner? You know, the spiders, they don't care about lighting. So I target my plants with my lighting. I don't flood and spill the lighting. I am very careful about targeting my plants. And so what I do with this here, not so much targeting the plants, I'm targeting this stand right here. And this stand that I built is 5 shelves. And they are 24 inches wide. So basically, I can put, if it's tomatoes, I can put 2 of them on here. Nice sized tomatoes too. My pepper plants, I've put 3 on here before. And other things that I've got in here. So I'm looking at 3, 6, 9, 12, you know, at least 12 plants, maybe 15. But I've got 2 more tomato plants that'll come over here. So I'm growing a lot, and these tomato plants are going to produce like crazy. And so for 25 bucks a month, everything that I can grow in here, I've got all kinds of greens over here. Now my greens will go out into the greenhouse, so they won't stay in here. So the lights will get turned off on that, because the kale, when it's big enough and can withstand the cold, they're going to go outside under the mini greenhouse that I built. And then a lot of them will go into the greenhouse itself. And I've got onions started here, but those are going to go outside real soon. And so pretty much a lot of that, except for the herbs over here, my little table of herbs, everything is going to get shut down in here. So 15 bucks a month, maybe 20 bucks at the most. And so it's not expensive, and it's not rocket science either. But anyways, these stands are like, I mean, they're the greatest thing since sliced bread, because I don't want to take and have to put fixtures in and wire them together. Now I am blessed because I have an east-facing window and a south-facing window. If I did not have these windows, like I've done before I moved into this house, which was 15 years ago or so, I had to light all the way around. When I lived in Alaska, basically. When I lived in Alaska, I had to light all the way around my plants. And so, you know, the light in Alaska, I mean, it'd start getting dark about 3 o'clock in the, we didn't live way north. It started getting dark like 3 in the afternoon, and it didn't get light until 9. I had like 6 hours of just daylight, but it wasn't bright sunshine. So it was a challenge there in my greenhouse, and I even had to have supplemental lighting in my greenhouse. But anyways, if I didn't have these windows, then I would surround these. I wouldn't have the double here. I'd have a single, and I'd have another single on the other side. So I really wouldn't be increasing the light needed. I would just be moving it around. And so that's something to consider. So anyways, I hope that helps. Now also, I might as well add this on too. A lot of people have asked about, you know, what do I have as far as light or fans and things like that. Now I do have 2 fans. I have one here that I can turn on low or high. And this is also on a timer. And this will kick on at the same time the lights kick on. They're all on the same switch. I've got that one there, and I've got another fan over there that will kick on. I turned it off manually because I was doing the video. And so I do have circulation that stays on whenever the lights are on. It's really simple. It's if I can do it, anybody can do it. I mean, seriously, It's so. Anyways, I hope this helps, and I hope that clears up a lot of questions that people have had about lighting. And if you have any comments, make sure you just leave them below. And if you have any questions, just fire them off. Okay. So, anyways, if you're not a subscriber, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And I appreciate you guys that are all subscribers now, and I appreciate you all watching this video. And we'll catch y'all later.